garden out in Union County on a beautiful fall morning on the extension property, and we are going to show you how to care for peonies, from digging and dividing them to moving them and to preparing them for winter. Here's Michael Luther, is our peony expert, and he's going to do the instruction part.
Thanks,
Michael,
Barb.
take it away.
Thanks, Barb. So, peonies do not like to be moved. Let's start with that. They are an heirloom perennial. They're long-lived, and they really like to stay in their place. But as you can see, the one here to my left is in a place that it no longer fits. It's under a tree now. The tree's gotten bigger. The plant is dying down for the fall right now. So this one we're going to transplant. We're going to try to keep as much of the root ball of this one intact to be able to move it. Now, the only other reason you'd really want to dig your peonies up would be if you're sharing. If it's an heirloom plant and it was grandma's and you want to share it with the cousins or the aunts or the rest of the family or friends, or if you've just got one that's gotten big and you want to share it with friends, you would dig and divide. And we'll show you that in a little bit. But this one we're going to try to keep together, dig it, and just transplant it. To do that, if the foliage was in the way, we would start by cutting the foliage off at about 4 to 6 inches high, just to get the leaves out of our way. We would discard those if they have, I wouldn't really compost them, I would discard those. They tend to have blight here in the south. We don't necessarily grow big, beautiful peonies for their foliage and bushes here. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do when digging it, we've cleared back the leaf mulch around it. You want to go to the drip line of the plant and start digging and go all the way around, and you want to go about the depth of a shovel if possible, depending on the soil. We're under a tree, we might not be able to go quite that deep with the persimmon tree here, but we'll see.
Now, how deep are the peony roots generally, Michael?
They should be really close to the surface.
Okay.
They are somewhat fleshy. Okay, so now you can see we have won the hard-won fight here and got the peony away from the tree. And this one we are going to try to leave together and just transplant. So we're going to leave as much soil as will stay on it together and move it to its new house. So we've dug our peony up, got it in a container waiting on us. We've dug the hole. So we dug the hole deeper than it needs to be. We're going to add fertilizer, and then we're going to backfill and mix it with the soil we took out. And we're going to make it almost level. Peonies are plants that want to sit up, and their eyes should be right at ground level for us here. They can be slightly above ground level for us here in the south. If you were farther north, you're going to want to put them 1 inch or 2 inches under the soil line. But peonies do need a cold cycle, so keep that in mind. So for us, we're using a fertilizer that is going to be like a 5-8-8, or the first number will be lower. Please keep the nitrogen number low with peonies. They're not, you're not growing it for its foliage. So we're putting 1/4 of a cup in the hole where we're transplanting. And if you have a current soil test, peonies do not like an acidic soil. So if you have acidic soil, you'd want to add lime at this point or some other amendment to offset that. So now we're going to take the soil we dug out, add it back, most of it, and we're just going to mix it.
Should the width of the hole be as big as the clump as well, or do you want to go a little bit wider?
It could have been a little wider than the plant.
Okay.
If you're in a northern climate, you're going to actually put the plant in and then you're going to dig out here and kind of trench it and throw it back over the top. We're going to fill the hole back up where it's almost level, and the peony is going to sit up. Because this one is an older clump that we dug up, it does have a little deeper root system on it. So we are going to dig out a little bit just to offset for space for the deeper tubers. Okay, so we've situated our plant. It's where the eyes are going to be right above soil line for us. And now we're going to cover up the rest of the roots with the remaining soil.
You know, a lot of folks generally have their peonies in a mixed garden bed so that they would have mulch similar to like what we have here. So is there a do and a don't as far as mulch is concerned after you've backfilled the soil?
I do mulch mine lightly.
Okay.
I still try not to cover that crown of the plant.
Okay.
I kind of mulch around the sides. This one's on a slope, so I am going to put a little bit more soil on the lower side and kind of press it in. Now, just because we're already in October and heading toward actually a nice hot week next week, but then after that we should cool off. I am going to go ahead and clip this one. Somewhere between 4 to 6 inches, ideally. Just enough to be able to find it, not dig it out and plant something else there this fall.
Now, my understanding is there's only certain varieties or cultivars of peonies that do well here in the southeast because of our humidity and heat. You were saying a chill period.
So these are herbaceous peonies. These are the ones your grandmother grew most likely, or the ones you see at abandoned home sites and places like that. Ito peonies are intersectionals are better suited for our climate. Their leaves don't have all the issues that these do. So if you can see the one beside of me, or even the ones I'm holding in my hand, where they've had blight and damage over the summer, when it gets hot, a lot of times they disappear on us. July, August, early September, they just burn out. Whether it's blight or just heat and no water. So the Itos do better. They usually keep their nice green foliage. They are more expensive to initially purchase, but they are a cross between the tree peony and the herbaceous. Herbaceous can do well here. You need to watch your water levels, fertilize, and really leave them alone. They do not like to be, like I said, they don't like to be moved. This one we kept together, transplanted the whole thing just because it was in a bad spot. We will show you transplanting, just so know going into it when you dig and move, you're looking at anywhere from 1 to 3 years with no bloom. If the thing is unhappy, it's going to sit and sulk.
Okay.
And then it'll come back.
Okay.
Okay. Tree peonies do pretty well here as well. Their care and maintenance is similar. Their root system is a little more hardy than this. These are very fleshy roots. Itos are a mix of the two, really. They have some harder roots and then they have soft fleshy roots coming off the side as well. But we will want to root prune the ones we're transplanting to help eliminate that sit and sulk.
Okay.
So we've dug up the next peony, and this one is, instead of a transplant, this one is to divide. It's a larger plant. We want to put it in other places in the garden. So we are going to divide this one. We've dug up the plant. We've washed the roots off, just to wash most of the dirt off so we can see the root system, so we can make educated decisions about where to cut and divide. So the next thing we're going to do is just trim it back. And had the foliage been in our way when we were digging, we would have cut it then. But we just want to trim back, and it's more to get it out of our way at this point. As we divide and replant, you could take the rest of the stubs off. I leave them usually so I don't plant over them or dig them up, forgetting where I put them. Okay. So now we have our root system, and we're starting to look for the eyes. The eyes are where the stems are, and the new eyes you can see are bright pink, just sticking out. Standard is usually 3 to 5 eyes in a division. We may leave a few larger, and if they naturally come apart, there may be a few that are smaller, but 3 to 5 is standard. Okay, so now we're looking for natural divisions, and let me show you the broke side. They're pretty much the consistency of carrots. There's one that broke in the process of digging and moving. It's fleshy, and this is an herbaceous. As we said earlier, the Itos and the tree peonies have a stronger root system, more like a tree, but these are very soft. So we can cut them with our knife. We can actually use the clippers and cut them apart. And we've got to look and find where our eyes are. So we have a chunk here that's got 2 new eyes and 3 existing, and there's another new. So we could take this smaller piece off, but I'm going to try to do it and leave the bigger chunk so that we actually put back 6 eyes instead of 3 and 3. Okay. So we're going to go down here. So we do have 1, 2, 3, 4 eyes on that set, so we will leave those together. We'll go ahead and prune one longer and some of the fibrous roots on the side there. And just clean it up a bit. Okay, so then we start looking for our next decision and cut.
And Michael, is that normal as peonies get older and have been in the ground for a long time for them to have those cavities like that? Do they kind of die in the middle like some of our perennials do?
They do kind of spread a little.
Okay.
I've never seen it quite that big. But this one is planted on a slope, so it may have sat in water or something and had damage. Okay, so we have this one out. And it's got a chunk of that older section that has no visible eye on it. And we'll leave it and see if it actually does anything. It may surprise us. The other side, the active side, we are going to prune. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eyes. A little bigger than industry standard, but it'll make a bigger plant quicker. And our last one, I really think I'm going to leave it together just to have a larger plant back in the side and just trim it up. So that one I broke, so I am going to take it all the way back. The others, just going to prune them back a little. Hopefully, again, remembering that if we prune it, we won't get such a long time of sit and sulk, that it will get in the ground, it will realize that it needs to put out roots and establish itself and continue to bloom.